What's going on? It's Alexander Thomas here. Welcome back to Game Time 123. Today I have a very special deck that I'm working on right now, but I'm going to be working throughout the live here on. This is my part of 1 week of streams. We're doing a Pacific Set deck. The deck is free. The deck is called Freedom, and the deck's idea is literally cast a bunch of stuff that is free. This is one of those decks that I've made, and I've concentrated on one before, that will have exactly a certain number of lands in it. No lands. It will have 0 lands in the deck. I'm going to go for the 32 point cards, and I'll make some more of them on live here on YouTube here. So we got going forward. First off, we have a couple gemstones. We've got the blue gemstone, and there's several gemstones. There's blue gemstone, red gemstone, green gemstone, and several other ones that all just are tapped for 1 mana of that color. Now, the point here is that they does say add 1 blue mana, not add 1 island symbol, because if it was that, I couldn't make this a commander deck, because the commander deck would have to be a 5-color commander deck if it did that because of the symbol. This is just 1 colorless. We've got ourselves the red gemstone, similar. The black gemstone, which all those have the same idea. Green gemstone. I used all the pictures from this site here. It's the Perchance. There's the white gemstone. When we get to our collection of gems, we can search our library for a gem subtext card. Every card will have a gem subtext just like this one does. And you can tap it, search your library for a gem subtext card and place it into your graveyard. And you can pay 4 to return a card advance. Yeah, of course, if you look at stuff like this, well, how are you going to do that? You have to pay 4 mana. Well, you have to use the cards that are free in order to get into it. And there are cards like this that allow you to do actually all those 5 gems. All the 5 gems could add for 1 color of mana. And since this is colorless, you can play it. The next card we're gonna have is gonna be Glowing Lotus. I made a few of these. I made a version of it, but that version didn't work because it was weird. It doesn't untap during untap step, and you can pay 2 life to untap it, and it adds 1 white mana to your mana pool. And same thing with Fire Lotus, does red mana instead. You have the River Lotus, which adds black mana instead. Water Lotus, which adds blue. And then Basic Land. Oh, this is actually a funny card. There's a card called Basic Land. This is one of those cards, if you would search for a card, you may instead search your library for this card instead. So if someone destroyed a permanent you controlled, and their permanent said, their player may search your library for a basic land. Well, you don't have any basic lands in this deck because there are no lands here. But you can use this card to cast it. There are a few others like that I'll put later. It says when you search your library for a clear, you can search your library for this card and you get to play it. And as soon as you do it, you get to cast it because everything's free. Granted, I could have said it costs 1. But I want to make everything free. So, Enchanted Permanent makes a permanent add 1 colorless mana to tap for 1 colorless mana. We get the Silver Knight. There's a couple of knights. This is just a 1/2 creature. Not much off of that. It's just a silver creature. There's not really anything special on this. Yeah, that's a Silver Knight. It's one of the cards in here that has that mechanic. We have Rider. The deck can have as many copies of Rider, so it's a rat colony, basically. It's really weird. There was a point here that I did actually make this, and honestly it doesn't make any sense for me to need to do this. It said Rider gets +1/+0 for each creature named Rider on the battlefield, which includes itself. Honestly, this is kind of irrelevant because it says for each creature named Rider on the battlefield. Well, Rider is including himself, so he is a zero. If you have one of them, it's 2/1. If it's otherwise, it gets +1/+1, and becomes a 2/2, a 2/3, 2/4, and so forth. It's an artifact creature is the only thing about it. It doesn't have hexproof or anything like that, so it is not exactly a. It's not really a very good card when it comes down to it. You can have as many copies of it as you want, though. You got Shadow Knight. Okay. So there's a deck or some cards back in the day. That still sounds weird, but that has Shadow as an effect. It can't be blocked except for creatures that have Shadow, or it can't block creatures that have Shadow either. It says this creature can't block only by creatures that have Shadow. So it can't block creatures unless the creature has Shadow. It can block creatures that have Shadow, or it can only be blocked by creatures that have Shadow. It does have a pretty big cost, though. As additional cost, it says you have to exile your hand at the end of your turn. Until the end of turn. It says until the end of the turn. So what happens is you put the card aside, you can't cast anything else, and then you return back and play it. You can play it again after that. So it is costed. It's only 1/2 with Shadow, so it's not the biggest card. We got Counter Magic. Oh, it has Devoid. Devoid is a effect that says this card has no color. It basically makes the thing a colorless spell instead, just like everything else, even though it is blue. As additional cost to spell, pay 3 life and you counter target spell. It's just counter something for paying 3 life. It does say it should be casting the spell. Oh, additional cost to cast the spell, you have to pay 2 life. So it's basically pay 3 life instead of to counter target spell. And it's an instant, so you can do it anytime. Royal skill for play. Okay. I made planeswalkers in this deck that makes this deck specifically in this one. There is a really bit of a weird thing about this one because of the context of how this works. Runner Skillful Play is an otter. The Planeswalker effect says Runner Skillful Play is unaffected by cost increase that includes commander attacks. I abbreviated it, but it includes commander attacks. And Runner Skillful Play can be your commander. Does it do anything? Not really. It adds 1 mana, 1 colorless mana to your mana pool, and untaps all non-token creatures you control. It starts with 1 as well. The thing is, you don't get a lot of tokens. There are ways to get tokens. I think we're going to make some of those anyways here, but regularly it's not very good. It's a card you can play as your commander. Next card is going to be Runner Pride of Many. This is a legendary creature. It's also unaffected by commander cost. Affected by cost increase when it includes commander attacks. This card is weird. It lost the text apparently because others. It can't be, so it's basically the same thing occurs. It can't be increased by cost. So if I were to lose this creature somehow, my creature normally in commander costs 2. It will cost 0, no matter what happens. However, this one's a little bit weird because this is one of the things about this deck is it's mainly about flipping coins. When you create a copy of a creature or artifact you control, create twice as many copies instead. At the end of each end step, you flip a coin. If it's tails, then you have to sacrifice all copies you control. This is a good point. Here's the thing. It's all copies you control. Not only cards that you didn't have anything before. If you had a copy of something, then it goes away. It's gone. It's not a very good creature when it comes to that effect. It's a 3/4, so it's not terrible, but it's not the best card out there. And also, it hurts you if you flip tails. But if you hit heads, then you just leave on the field. It could basically increase your game until you have a ton of copies if you just happen to flip heads every time. Otherwise, you just lose a bunch of creatures. We got Holy Waters. Oh, yeah. It's Holy Waters. A deck has many copies of it. It's just a 1/1 creature. At the beginning of each step of a coin, if it's heads, then I untap it. Other than the fact it's just a 1/1 creature. That's all it is. You can have as many copies as you want, so it's not the best card out there, but it's not a terrible card when it comes to the fact here. At least I wouldn't call it a terrible card. Let's see, we got Pack of Wolves. Okay. Another deck can have as many copies of this card as you want. It has first strike. It's a 2/1 for 0. Might be a little bit over. Might be uncommon, to be honest, but it's a 0/1. It's a 2/1, so it's not super powerful, and it's first strike. You can easily destroy it with other cards. It doesn't have hexproof or anything like that. It just, you can make copies you want, and it's a 2/1. Bunch of cards. Manadorf. Okay, Manadorf is a little bit weird. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a token as a copy of a target land opponent controls. This is how you can get lands, but it is a 0/1 creature. So if your opponent has lands, let's say it has 1 land, you can create a copy of a land it controls, and it can be any land. It can be legendary, it can be regular, it can be basic. Any land that your opponent controls, you can create a copy of. And not only that, anything that would trigger with that copy entering works. So if it's a card that says gain 1 life or scry 1 or enters tapped, it's still enters tapped and everything like that. But you get all the triggers. So you get the scry 1, you get the whatever the amount is. Gain 1 life. That is Manadorf's ability. Again, this is a 0/1 creature. It's not particularly powerful. Elder Wolf. Oh. Yeah, Elder Wolf is a wolves you control have haste, and you can pay 2 to flip a coin. And when a coin lands heads, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. When a coin lands tail, left sacrifice the creature. So if you happen to have this card alone on the field, you have to sacrifice itself. It does say on target creature, so it could get really powerful, but again, yes. Oh, but there is a little bit of a problem here. Anyone notice? It doesn't have any power toughness. I think I'm gonna go ahead and edit this card. Because I realize it doesn't have a power toughness. I'm going to make it small text. We are going to put the counter toughness on here. It is a 2/3 creature. It's a legendary creature otherwise, though. I'll have to make an editor copy of this. But that is how that card works. It doesn't do much. It just flips a coin. It gives wolves haste. That's where you have your good 2/1 creatures. I guess it's powerful when it comes to that effect. I'm gonna go ahead and download it. And I do have paint.net open, you guys won't be able to see it. But it's there. Let me see if I can find it here. And every one of these cards will have some sort of cost, because if I don't give it a cost, then it's not fair, really, because that means I can basically, in theory, this is not really true, but in theory I can play my entire deck on turn 1 if I had a card like it. Alright, that's done. Alright, moving on to the next one. I did make it. I have to go back because I realized something. I do have to go back to the Pacific point because let me see, where we at? We are at Elder Wolf. There we go. That's our card. Alright, we move on to the next card. It's called Moonwolf. It's a 0-cost card that has... Other creature wolves have hexproof. It's a 1/2 creature. Not much else about this. It's just it's a 1/2 creature that has other creatures. Well, other wolves get hexproof. Specifically wolves. It's not very good. It has other wolves, so it doesn't trigger itself. And you can't have as many copies you want of this card, so it's just other wolves. So target that. Everything else can be targeted. Red Wolf. You can have many copies of Red Wolf. Whenever Red Wolf deals damage, flip a coin. It has haste. I'm not gonna go back. I'm not gonna edit this one because it doesn't have the it doesn't have the directional thing. When I come back to it, editing it later, we'll deal with it. But it has haste. I feel like this is a ridiculous card. It does say when it deals damage, it flips a coin. There are going to be cards in this deck that will not be so helpful. I might not put this one in here because it does seem like it could be a little powerful. But we'll look at that later. Regenerate. Okay. You guys remember the ability Regenerate back in the day of Magic? Yeah. This is exactly that text. It is a weird card. 0 cost, regenerate a chain of creatures. So if you equip it, so basically here's the thing. At the beginning of your upkeep, you have to flip a coin. If it lands tails, it returns to your hand, and you can't cast it this turn. So it is not that good of a card because the context is I get to play on a creature. Oh, my creature is regenerating. Boom. Oh, I have to flip a coin. Dang it! It's tails. I had to return to my hand. You can't cast it. It's a really bad card when it comes to that effect because you have to recast it every time. Double trouble. Fun thing. It's otters. It's otters. Legendary enchantment. When you flip a coin, you flip 2 coins instead. You pay 1 life. Cancel 1 flip. Treat the 1 flip coin as if you didn't flip it. Yeah, so you lose 1 life, but you get to cancel 1 flip. And you can cancel up to 2 flips. You could, if you want to, or as many flips as you want to. We got Counterstorm. Okay. This is weird. It has the effect. Counterstorm is a weird thing. It says, counter target spell. If a spell was successfully countered, choose 1. Pay 3 life, sacrifice a creature, or pay 3. And you can recast it for 0. Oh, and the recast effect doesn't matter. It kind of. Because you can cast it for free, but you do have to pay 2 of the cost instead of the 1 cost. So recasting means you just have to pay more. If you recast it, you have to do it again. And you can cast this any time because it is an instant, but you do have to choose 2 costs instead, pay 3 mana, or 3 life, or sacrifice a creature. If you can't do that, then it doesn't matter. Counter, I guess the counter spell's counter is, this counter storm is countered. Mana Dragon. Okay, this is a bad card, I think. Whenever it deals damage, add 3 colorless mana to your mana pool. You don't lose this mana until the end of your turn. But at the end step, you sacrifice it unless you pay 4. So in reality, it is a thing called, I don't remember what it's called, but they have a thing called commutative upkeep, I believe. And that's basically what this is, except it's not continuous. It's not 4, then 8, then 12. It's just regular. We get Freedom. No, Free Demon. It's a black card. It has the Void. You do lose 1 life every turn, and it does have flying. Not a very good card. It's just doing that. We got Orb of Luck. Flip a coin. When you flip tails, you lose 2 life, and when you flip tails, you draw a card. So you can draw additional cards, or you lose 2 life. It just depends. And you can cancel 1 flip if you have double trouble, but not exactly the best card out there. It's not bad though. It's not hexproof either though. Storm Ranger. Oh goodness. It's a legendary creature you could use as a commander in this deck. You probably won't because it's not great. Storm Ranger gets +1/+1 for each colorless permanent you control. The void creatures are colorless. Just to point out, that's just because I felt like I needed to say that, even though it's not really relevant. Because the void creatures, this card has no color. That's what it says on the card. But it's each creature of 0 mana cost has add 1 colorless mana. And it is at least going to be a 1/1 because you have at least 1 creature. And it's at least going to give you 1 mana if you wanted to. Oh boy. Next one. Okay, this is a weird one. It is Defeated by the Storm. We'll get to a card like that. I don't know. It says exile target permanent. You flip 5 coins. You lose 2 life for each one that flips tails. So you flip 5 coins. And if they all happen when it tails, you can lose. This is a thing that could cost you 10 life. Or it could cost you no life. So it's exile target permanent for free, or exile target permanent for 10 life, or somewhere in between. Yeah, it's weird. We got Thomas. It's a 1/1 creature with vigilance and indestructible. Nothing else in that one. It's just a human wizard. Yay. Okay, Dragon's Orb. This card either is really bad or really good. I have a hard time deciding. It's really good because you on turn 1 because it doesn't have any color, as the card says. But it says pay 4 life, add 3 colorless mana. At the beginning of each instep, flip a coin. It's each instep, not just your instep. And then when you flip a coin, you place a free counter on this card. And if it has 2 or more free counters, you exile it. And you can't get that back after it. Well, kind of. We'll get to that in a second because we're going to build some more cards on that. Flare power. Retrieve all counters from target permit, place a 1 counter on target creature, or destroy target permit. And you can pay 2 life and 4 mana to return to your hand. Alright, now we get to the real fun part. We get to create cards live. Off this one, we're at about halfway, I think. Let's go ahead and just take a new one here. Let's see what we can use all these things here. We're going to call this one Return from Exile. You guys can't see me creating the card, or making the thing, but I'm going to go here. It's a card called Return from Exile. And that's literally what the card does. But we get to effect here, we get to Return from Exile. We get to save it, I guess. The card will be a colorless card. And we'll go ahead and do that. This is the mana card here. And we get Return from Exile. It's going to be called Return from Exile. I did make all these cards the same thing. I'm going to make sure I do put things on here if I can. It is Freedom. That's the thing of all the cards. And I'm going to go and look at this real quickly here. What was the last card we made? Its flare power is 20. That is the wrong thing, 38. This card is colorless. I feel like it's a sorcery because the context is returning it from the grave, and I think you do have to do it on your turn. We'll use DIM. Use Diamond. I think common makes sense. We're going to use, it's going to be a 0 cost card because everything's 0 cost. I feel like colorless makes sense here, but I think I need to make it a different opportunity here. Colorless, there we go. Return 1 card from Exile. And Exile is basically, it's something that's not in play anymore. So the thing with this, you have if you are playing Magic, you have your field, you have your hand, which is not there here yet. Your field, which is presently there. Graveyard, which is gone, and Exile is gone. One target card from Exile, and place it in your hand. I don't know if it's from your Exile though, because I think it feels like if you could do it from another creature player's Exile, which would be ridiculous if you exile someone else's card, but I don't think we're going to get that portion. So I think, to be fair, I think it's your exile and place it into your hand. Because I don't think it's fair to say, hey, I'm going to go and get your one card that you was exiled. I'm not exiling any cards from your opponent's thing, so I think that makes sense. It's a sorcery. Returns one target card from your exile and place it into your hand. The thing is, you can cast it still if I did that. So, you can't cast it this turn. I think that makes it fair, because if I were to, because otherwise everything of this deck is 0 cost, so you can play it whenever you want. Let's see. Return one target card from your graveyard, from your exile, and place it into your hand. You can't cast that card this turn. Because if I said you can cast it, well, guess what? I could have a really broken card this weekend. And there's some cards that are not, super unbroken. And I don't think this is particularly powerful. It's just return one card from the exile and put it in your hand. You can't cast it this turn. I think this is a fair card. You guys let me know if you see any cards on this that you think are completely unfair. I can go back and change them. I can. I do have a premium membership for this site here. So that could be, I think that's reasonable. It's not broken because you return one target card from your exile and place it in your hand, and then you can't cast that card this turn. Because you can cast the card normally anyways, I'm going to put that in freedom. It will download it. I'll deal with download those things later, though. I'm not going to go up and download it here. And it should say, yeah, we can look at that later. I'm not going to worry about doing that right now. Let's see what other kind of cards we can use out this one. What kind of things could we use? I'm going to generate some more images and see what we got. And this site is free. If you want to take any views for it, I'm not going to say you can't pay membership or something. I don't know what that means. There's chat, there's things, there's so many other ways you can do it. You have to make an account, though, I believe, in order to be able to do it. You have to use an email for it. Well, let's see. Oh, you know what? I can think about this. The Dragon Returns. Because there are going to be cards that make sense to do flipping coins that cause your dragon, like, really big dragons. These cards really don't do it. I'm going to choose a different. You're at plenty of different options you can use. You can even use an MTG card, but unfortunately, I found out that it doesn't actually work. I'll show you what that does if you try to do that. MTG card. You see what I mean? That's about the closest to anything, but if you go closer to it, that's not even a subtext. You can't even do anything. These aren't bad cards though. I don't have a clue what that means. But that's the idea for it. If you wanted to try to use that, I have determined that it doesn't do anything for me. I'm going to try to do Flying Dragon. Like, let's see, there's an artifact. We're gonna make some of these cards are 0 cost, but I don't want to make it, broken. We're gonna use this guy. We're gonna call it Fearful. Dragon, which makes absolutely no sense for the actual card, but we'll use that. That we can make an image for it. Let's see what we get to do. It's not a Planeswalker. First off, we know that it's going to be a 0 cost card. That is probably going to make it very difficult because dragons are supposed to be expensive. Like if you go to every Magic, I think there's a card called that's a dragon. Most dragons are like 6 mana cost, so making a 0 cost dragon, it's going to make it difficult. We'll go ahead and put this into, I think it's got to be a more higher rarity. We'll put it on common for right now. It is dragon. But the one card I did have, which was dragon, did have that thing for it. So we'll put it being a 4/4 dragon. This makes sense. Collector number will be 39, I think. I guess I could look at the thing here. 30. Yep, 39. What do we use this card for? I did make a deck previously that was completely free, but I made a mistake with the actual deck because it made it so it was a 5-color deck instead of a 1-color deck, which I was trying to do because I didn't understand how Commander worked at the time. But now let's see. It's got, I think. Let's see. How can we make Fearful Dragon work? Fearful Dragon. First off, it's gonna have to flying, but it's gonna have to some. And I don't think haste makes much sense in this case. Because if it has haste, oh gosh, it's a 4/4 dragon with haste. Game's already over. It's not over with a commander, but first off, we make this a red card. I think it's a creature. Now, one thing I do have to do, though, is make it devoid, because If I don't do that, then it doesn't work. And devoid is just, this card has no color. And I've already shown you several cards that have that. Question is, it's got to have some really big kickback for it. Win. Full Dragon. What does it do? I think we do it. The kick thing is going to be kick attacks or blocks. It deals 5 damage to you. So it can attack, but if it hits, but if you do attack, then it deals 5 damage to yourself. So it's gonna kill you over. Go and kill yourself, basically. I'm gonna change the PT image to make it red. That's not a good one. That's not good. Let me see here. Oh, that's even worse. Don't like that. That's better, I think. It's not the best card. Let's see. If you go to a red dragon MGT, what does it look like normally? They are kind of a tannish color. So let's see. So it looks kind of like this. That's even worse. Yeah, we're not doing that. Back it up. Put it back to black. That looks weird. But okay. The zero cost card deals 5 damage to you every time it attacks or blocks. So it's terrible in any case because while it has flying, you can block flying. It hurts you whenever it attacks or blocks. And you might have to sacrifice it though. I mean, it's not, I don't think it's a very good card. Being in a common, I think it's fair in that case. I'm going to publish that. I think, and you can see all these cards and any cards I create by going to MTG Cardsmith. If you want to make cards, though, you have to. I think you have to make an account, and if you want to change any edit those cards, you can delete them, but you have to change if you want to change it. Then you have to I think it's $11 a month basically. But you get some extra things though, because remember you can't really do much with it, and it really helped. I really thought about this about for a long time before I went ahead and actually decided, you know what, we're going to do it. They did up it, so it was $5, was I think $6 a month. They did up it because they're making some more things to it. It's still in progress of doing stuff with it, but it is a it's really kind of exciting. You can make a bunch of cards for it. Let's see, what other things can we want to do? Say we go back to artifacts. Maybe some gems. We're at about 47 minutes, so we're gonna get done pretty soon here, but let's see what else we can use. That is creepy. Refresh that, please. That's not much better. These are not really artifacts. I would not call these artifacts. We'll look at this. I think we gotta use something to flip coins, because otherwise I think we have currently 3 cards that are red. We got Dragon Zorb, Dragon. I think we make 3 of each card that are devoid. We got a blue one now. We got 2 blues that are devoid. We've got out there anyone. And did you have some other cards that are coming out that I'm gonna make a deck for that I'm working with? Let's try to make another blue card that maybe does some coins, because we got 1 here, we got 2 really. What kind of thing could we do? We could do the goblin. What does blue normally do in Magic? Because I kind of want to make it somewhat similar to actual Magic. And that, what does blue normally do? Blue allows you to draw cards, mills cards. I'm going to try to make this an epic fantasy card. I just find that funny. Maybe we'll put that as a white card. I'm gonna do. That's actually really funny. Problem is, I already have 3 cards. I don't want to put more than 3 somewhat red cards. I think we're gonna do this one, which is gonna be called the Banquet Hall. Or the Banquet. Yeah, where it does. Thank you. Let's see, we're gonna call it the Banquet Hall. That will be what we will call it. This will allow you to basically flip coins and maybe do something else for it. what could Banquet Hall do? One, it has something to do with flip coins, because that makes sense for the actual deck. It could be, I think it's an artifact, but it's a blue artifact that costs 0 and it's going to be devoid. So, it's going to be blue, except I want to make it this blue. With the effect devoid. It has no color because it makes sense for it. What is it going to do is the question. And there are things that if you do go to Magic, you'll see some things like, for example, if you see this here, the icon thing, you're able to do any of these ones higher than this one here, all of these. But in order to use any premium icons, you have to pay $10. I'll give you one. That's one thing that you get as bonus. You can delete cards, but you can't save cards. But you can't re-edit cards if you are not a premium member. I really like this site. I love making cards. I have made, I think, 8 decks. I've got 3, 4, 5 of them over here somewhere. It's card number 40. I know that much. What is something that it can do? Banquet Hall is an artifact. It's not a land, so that's not going to be that. What else could we use off of that? I feel like it has to do something with flip coins. Because otherwise it doesn't really make much sense. Let's take a look back at some of the cards I made a long time ago that I still haven't done anything with. Yep, wrong one. There's a card called Zero Cost Man Deck. I haven't really made all these things. I actually ordered this deck with other cards. It was very complicated. I might use the Gambler at some point. Actually, Gambler would be an awesome card to try to use this one. We might try using that one. I have to go back and edit it at some point, but you see there's a bunch of star stuff in here. You got Bird as a 6/8 that gets started for 6 -1/1 counters. Unfortunate Ruin doesn't untap during your uptap step, and you have to add 2 mana of a color, and it untaps it whenever a creature or effort leaves the battlefield. So it's whenever somebody dies. You got pay 1 life, flip a coin. That could be something. Oh, what's there? How? Which things? I made this card a long time ago. This is stupid because it enters the battlefield with 100 plus 0 plus 1 counters. Not. And you pay 1 life, remove a king 10 1/1 counters from it, and destroy a permanent. It does cost 12. It costs 1 less for each permanent you control, so it gets cheaper. So basically, it could in theory be a 0 cost creature, and I'm not going into that really. But what other options do we have here? Oh, we can use our commander. We're not worrying about any of these right now here, but I think I do think it makes sense to say pay to... I think it's gotta be a tap effect so you can't use it more than once. Is that broken? Honestly, that doesn't feel like broken to me. Because if you think about this, that's only going to occur once. And it does give you 2 life and allows you to flip a coin, but the flip a coin could cost you life. So, I don't know. That doesn't feel like a very eventful card here. No power toughness. I don't think it's good because you just tap it to flip a coin, and flip a coin could cost you who knows what. Oh wait, I gotta put something else here. Yeah. Actually, I think it's the coin's heads untapped. This would make it... Now, this would make it broken. Because every time you flip heads, yes. But we are going to make a restriction because obviously if it didn't, restriction. It only occurs once per turn. Because if I did it, if I said that, in theory, I can gain infinite life. I can only gain 4 life and it only triggers twice. Not going to be the best card on there, but it's not the worst card. And also, if it's tails, you just gain 2 life, flip a coin. Doesn't give you infinite life, doesn't do much out of it. I'm going to go back and find the sheriff because the sheriff is going to probably be a black. It's going to be probably kind of a colorless card, and that's where you could flip coins because it does flip coins. Publish that. That's probably not a very good card. I don't think it's terrible. It's flip coin. We'll go back to figuring that out. I think we'll do one more card. We'll do the sheriff. And then we're going to end the stream there. And I'll probably redo this one at some point. Go through this again, but I'm going to try the rest of the cards privately. So the last card we're going to do is going to roll back to the 0 mana deck. I'll go ahead and close this. And attempt to use this card. This card might actually have been broken. I'm going to copy off all this. I'll probably delete this card after we finish doing it. Let's see. Well, that's not going to help me. It's a legendary creature. There we go. We'll try that one more time. This seems reasonable. There's a car in the background, but that's fine. And we're basically remaking this card. I think. I might change some things. About the card just to kind of see what we do with that. This is the Gambler, so this is actually a different card. So we will be doing this one, but we're going to do these same things on this card. And we're going to have to go back to it because I apparently didn't do this. It's going to be a rare. It's going to be a human. I got to go back to thing because I apparently didn't copy correctly. We'll call it the Sheriff. And we'll just delete. I'm going to delete that other card. The card called 0 mana deck. It was called the Gambler. I don't see it. We'll have to make it different than it looks like. I can make an intercept, that's not what I want. in the 0-mana deck. Yeah, I'm quite aware. I want to skip the card. Apparently it's difficult to find, though. There it is. This card says, I'm going to copy all of this. We're going to go and place it on here, because this card would make sense. For the thing here. I think for now it's just the colorless card. And it's not going to be gold. It's just going to be the right one. Just going to be artifact. It is a legendary creature. I will make it small text. And does the same thing. It just says flip a coin, flip 3 coins. When a coin lands heads, you add 2 colors to your mana pool. When it lands tails, draw 2 cards and lose 1 life. Draw a card and lose 1 life. I'm going to change that, I think, though, for the context. I think it makes sense for me to make it tails being negative. Because you can pay for it. You flip 3 coins, you can get 2 life. If you can get extra life for it. I'm going to go put this onto card 41. I will delete that card, but we're going to work about that. I'll worry about that later after I finish streaming this. Because the gambler is a human ally normally, but we're not worrying about the gambler. We're not doing the gambler. It's going to be hold the sheriff. We do also need to change the thing so it actually goes to DIM. You tap it at 3 of 3 coins, and you can still use the abilities because it's not a tap ability. But I feel like if it lands tails, this guy it doesn't give you any benefits. Well, it says draw a card and lose 1 life. I'm going to change that. You lose 2 life. You can gain 2 life if you land tails. Because if you gain his, you can gain that life back. If it lands heads, you don't have that. Alright, let's see. I like it being gold, but the problem is gold kind of makes it hard to work. Oh, it's a 3/4 creature. I probably should make sure I know that. It's not necessarily a 3/4 creature. I would say 3/4 is that too powerful? It's a 0 cost card regularly. I think that's too powerful. I think 3/4 is too much. So we're changing it to just a 1/4 creature. Not like it doesn't, so it doesn't have any superpower. Otherwise, it's a 1/4 flip 4 coins, and whenever coin lands head, you gain 2 mana, but if for tails you lose 2 life every time you do it. Let's generate that. And I think it makes sense for the actual deck. Yep, and we'll go ahead and delete the gameplay. I'll close that one because we know it's not relevant. I'll deal with that later. And this makes sense because then you can make this your commander if you wanted to. Flipping 3 coins doesn't really do much for you. And there we go. Once it loads, I'll go ahead and download it, and then I think we're going to end the stream there. Download. So, tomorrow, I will be streaming it again. Let me see what we're doing. I don't know why the sheriff's in this deck. Maybe, well, it kind of makes sense if it is the kind of where would you have dims and diamonds, and that's a pretty big mine. I'll have to make a card like the mine or something at some point. Alright. We're done with that now, I think, for this. Looking at, yeah, a little more than what I wanted to do, but that's fine. I have, tomorrow, there'll be a new Wizard character, which with some levels. I'll have to make them with some amount of levels. I will look at the decks. On Thursday, I still haven't really decided what I'm doing for it, and I don't want to do that. And Friday we'll be doing a draft on Magic Arena. Thursday we'll be doing something. I don't know what it's going to be. I'll decide that probably tomorrow. I'll let you guys then. That's it for the stream. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget, guys, to keep your game on.